or Mexican pilots participating in the liberation of the Philippines. Events in Asia also saw strange alliances and even stranger enmities. The Vichy French government, under German control, consulted frequently with the U.S. government over developments in Indochina in 1941. And in the same year, French forces in Laos and Cambodia found themselves involved in a brief, brutal border war with Thailand. Just as a deeper understanding of World War II in Asia is gained by involving a wider range of actors than usual, it also makes sense to expand the period under review. This volume, the first in a series of 3, does not begin on December 7, 1941. It ends on that day. To appreciate the deep animosities that drove the immensely destructive war and cost the lives of millions of people, soldiers and civilians alike, it is necessary to go decades, indeed centuries back in time. First and foremost, it is important to explore the strange love-hate relationship between East Asia's 2 oldest civilizations, China and Japan, and how it was conditioned by shifting geopolitical winds, most crucially, the arrival of the Western powers from about 1600. It is a history whose earliest beginnings can be traced to the time when Europe was mired in the Dark Ages, or even further back, to the time when 2 great empires ruled much of the known world, the Roman in the West and the Chinese in the East. It is also a history which has still not ended. 3 generations after World War II, many of the rivalries that led to bloodshed on the beaches of Micronesia, in the jungles of Malaya, and the villages of Manchuria are still alive. This trilogy is written in the firm conviction that a better understanding of the past will contribute to a more dispassionate and level-headed approach to the problems of our present age. Chapter 1. Ancient Foes: China, Japan, and Asia until 1931. In August A.D. 663, 2 large navies clashed on the western side of the Korean peninsula. The huge wooden ships, some several stories high and brimming with soldiers in heavy armor, met on the lower reaches of the Paekchon River, near the spot where it emptied into the Yellow Sea. One fleet had been sent by China's powerful Tang Emperor, while the other fleet was fighting for Japan's Yamato dynasty. They were supporting rival kingdoms in Korea, and this was their final showdown. As the 2 floating armies approached each other, catapults sent heavy projectiles whistling through the air, while archers tried to take out individual soldiers on the decks of the opponent's vessels. When the distance was short enough, boarding parties climbed onto enemy ships, and the clang of iron against iron filled the air, as if the battle were taking place on land. Soon, the Chinese superiority in ships and men became evident, and the Japanese were surrounded on all sides. The Nihon Shoki, one of Japan's classical works of history, described the scene. In a brief space of time, the Japanese imperial force was defeated, and many fell into the water and drowned. The ships were unable to maneuver either astern or ahead. The Japanese general Echi no Takutsu faced heaven and swore in anger and despair. He gnashed his teeth, and in his rage he slew dozens of men. He died fighting. It was a decisive Chinese victory, and the earliest Sino-Japanese battle on record. But by the time their fleets fought to the death on that fateful summer day, the 2 ancient civilizations had already known about each other's existence for nearly a millennium. There were vague reports, shrouded in mystery and myth, that China's first emperor, Qin Shi Huang, who lived around 200 B.C. and was thus the contemporary of the Carthaginian general Hannibal, had sent people to the Japanese Isles in search of their elixir of youth. And, in the year A.D. 57, the Chinese court had started exchanging emissaries with a kingdom located in what is now Japan. Right from the earliest times, China jealously defended its position as the proud center of the known world, or, as its people said, all under heaven. Japan sometimes seemed to forget this, signaling that it lacked an understanding of its own position in the hierarchy of states. In the early 7th century, a Japanese prince, acting on behalf of the imperial court, infuriated China by dispatching a message suggesting equivalence between the 2 civilizations. The emperor of the land where the sun rises sends a letter to the emperor of the land where the sun sets.